All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here, Mark P Markets. Thank you for joining me for another Bitcoin video analysis session. I made some adjustments to my microphone. You're going to see it in the picture here, but hopefully that improves the sound quality. Let me adjust it here a bit. Hold on a second. All right, hold on. All right. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind. Okay, here we go. That should be better. Okay, guys. So again, thank you for joining me. I am simulcasting here on TradingView. Let me just pull that up. So if you guys are new to the stream, welcome. Let me explain quickly how this works and what we are going to go over today. Okay, so again, my name is Mark Principato, Mark P Markets, and thank you for joining me. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the economic calendar, as we always do on Mondays, okay, to see if there are any important events that we should be aware of this week. Secondly, we are then going to go over my Bitcoin analysis. I wrote an article yesterday on TradingView. Hopefully you have read the article, but I'm going to touch on some points there and how the day trade mindset applies to this situation in particular. And then we're going to go over your questions, right? So if you have a question about a stock or an altcoin, now would be a good time to share it in the channel, okay? If it's an altcoin, please put USD or USDT after the symbol. Also, if you'd like to share what city or what country you are streaming, you are watching from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey. Okay, also TradingView people, if you have a problem seeing me on the browser, just make sure to refresh the browser. That usually solves the problem. Okay, so with all that, let's get started, shall we? Okay, so this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. All right, you guys, so let me know how you guys like my sound. If it's improved. From all you guys that watch all my streams, let me know. I'd love to hear the feedback. Okay, so first things first, before I expand this chart and before we get into what's going on here, let's talk about the economic calendar, shall we? All right, so earlier today, I believe there was some number, okay, I think some ISM number for the US, okay, and the market had an unusual day. I mean, we've seen an unusual situation in this market for weeks now, all right, and we'll talk about that. We'll touch on that when I get into my Bitcoin analysis. But as far as the week goes, in terms of important news, tomorrow, which is the June 6th, there was, I believe, Australia has their interest rate announcement, and I believe the Bank of Australia Governor Lowe speaks. Okay, that's usually not a big market mover as far as global markets go, but if you're in Aussie pairs, it's good to be aware of. Okay, if you're in Forex. On Wednesday, we have Bank of Canada. They have their rate announcement. Again, not a big global mover. Okay. Now, there were a number of other items on the economic calendar that I was looking at, but none of them are important. Okay. So that's why I go over the economic calendar. Like, for example, I saw one item on the lesser important list. It was, what was it? It was initial jobless claims. Okay. And people may think, oh, that's important. That's unemployment. No, it's not the same thing as NFP. So a report like that, you can just ignore it. It's meaningless. The only way one of these reports will be meaningful is if there's some kind of major surprise. So there's no need to complicate things or overcomplicate things. Don't even pay attention to those. All right. So the interest rate announcements are potential market moving, especially if you're in those relevant pairs. Otherwise, there's nothing this week. There's no FOMC meetings, right? NFP was on Friday, the previous Friday, so there's no NFP. There's no Chairman Powell testimonies or anything like that. There's no FOMC meeting minutes. There's nothing. So that's the economic calendar, all right? So again, don't overcomplicate things. Let's move on here and let's get into our Bitcoin analysis. Now, Stian mentions here, he asks about this situation here relevant to the trade scanner. Now, here, I'll put the question in here so you guys can see it, right? So Stian asks this question, and I don't know if you guys know, you guys who have access to the trade scanner should have seen this, right? A couple of days ago, it called Bitcoin short, okay, at like 27.3. Someone want to put that in the chat? Steven, you could probably see that. Okay, also got a new mic. Yeah, see, this is not even a new mic. This is just my old mic in a new position. So Steven, you want to put that Bitcoin trade in the channel? This trade scanner called an excellent trade. Now, I was not interested in taking it short, but it called a short. On that note, on Wednesday, okay, the previous Wednesday, I had my student meeting. And in the middle of the meeting, the trade scanner popped up an idea for all of us to see, okay? So we were all watching this thing in real time, and it called Litecoin as a long. And I said, okay, guys, let's see what we can do with this. And we used the ATR method. And then over the next couple of days after that Litecoin long was called, it went to its profit, right? To its take profit. Now, I know most of these guys took it on paper, but the point is, we got to see this thing perform in real time. This isn't like an after the fact. Okay, man, you know, it made thousand points like 2 weeks ago. No, we watched this thing unfold in real time, and we put the trade idea together as a group in real time. And that Litecoin move, I mean, you know, I'll just show you real quick, right? That Litecoin move, it was unexpected. Now it's pulling back, but that Litecoin move, okay, that occurred here. I just want to point that out real quick. I know my chart's small. I'll make it bigger. But that Litecoin move occurred like over here. Okay, this was Wednesday back here. All right, you see that? I'm going to make this. I'm going to make the chart bigger here in a moment. Hold on a second. Okay, there you guys. You see it? That's where the trade scanner called Litecoin long. All right, and my guys were in that. All right. So well, actually, no, I'm sorry. It was over here. That's the wrong Wednesday. That's why I had to make my chart bigger. It was this Wednesday right here. Right. It was this area right here. Remember this one, you guys? It was on the 31st of May because that's when the meeting was. And we watched this thing call the trade, and over the next couple of days, that's where it went. Okay. Now, there's some important points I want to make, but you know, the trade scanner called that long. And again, I don't trade Litecoin, so I wasn't really interested in taking that for real. What makes your performance outcome positive is your trade management, not the trade scanner. That's a very important point. Even whether you use my trade scanner, whether you use someone else's system, or you buy one of those arrow painting systems that they sell on YouTube, it's the same thing, right? The system is, think of the system as a idea generator, okay? I never would have called Litecoin long over here. I never would have called that. But the system, it measures momentum, it has no bias, it sees something and it calls it. And that was worth something, right? And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. Let's go back to Bitcoin. So it called Bitcoin, right? Steven here. Steven put the trade, right? Look at this. So that right there was the message. That's the text message that the trade scanner called, right? And what was the date on that one? On 6/3. So that was 2 days ago. So any fraud that's calling Bitcoin short now, where were they 2 days ago? My scanner saw it, right? So my scanner said right here, Bitcoin, BTC, 27,169 short. Now, once again, I was not interested in taking that short because I have a long idea, right? I have a plan. I plan to go long. But the thing is, how could we have made money with something like that? It made the call. You have to use some judgment. The trade scanner can't do all the work for you. And this is where day trades come in. All right. And that's the title, you know, the day trade mindset. If you use the trade scanner and you apply it to the day trade mindset, it really opens up a whole other world of opportunities. The trade scanner was meant to be used as a swing trade idea generator, right? And that's how I use it. I don't typically day trade Bitcoin. So if you looked at this from the day trade perspective and you looked at that short, meaning you're not going to use a daily chart, you're going to go to smaller time frames, right? You're going to work maybe on a 4 hour, a 1 hour, possibly even a 30-minute, possibly a 15-minute, and you're going to apply the ATR method that I've been teaching and that I've been showing my students. I mean, that's what we reviewed the other day. I mean, again, I called it on what, June 3rd. Let's just go back and see what that looked like on June 3rd. So here's June 3rd right here. Okay, this is June 3rd. and it called it short. Okay. So once again, if you had been working with this as a day trade, right, possibly on a 4 hour, maybe you can go to a 1 hour, which would be a little more appropriate for a day trade. That's where it called it short. Now, it's possible that you may have broken even on it if you made some adjustments, because again, I tell people you should be making adjustments. The initial orders that you put out as a result of the ATR method that I show people, those are your initial orders. And if this thing revisits like, a level where you entered, most likely the entry is probably like around here somewhere. Whereas 169, let's see, 27,169, it's a little lower than that. It's like right here, 27,169, right about there, okay? So it called the trade right about here. This is what the market looked like at the time, right there, all right? So it would have went red on you. I don't know if this would have stopped out because again, it depends on the ATR amount that you used. It's possible that this thing could have stopped out, all right? If your stop was too tight. But if it was not too tight and you had not made any adjustments, eventually this thing worked out. So once again, at least it wasn't calling longs. That's how you have to look at that, okay? Does that make sense to you guys? So bearish momentum reversal, 270863. All right, so we made two calls. Okay, listen to the, so here's what happens. Let's explain this one. 27204 on 6-3 at 17:10. So basically at 5 o'clock in the evening, Eastern time, it made a second call at what, 204. So it's a little bit higher. That's probably like around here somewhere. Okay, let's just put that. It's right about here somewhere. Okay, so it called it short twice. Possibly, that was possibly, let's see, 17:10. That was probably around here somewhere. Okay, I don't have the exact pinpoint on the chart. Where is 17:10? Let's see, that would be 5 o'clock. Yeah, it'd be around here somewhere. Okay, so it called that short again. My point is, the thing is giving you the right ideas. How you manage the idea is really going to really shape the outcome. This thing was correct. I would not have called this short. Okay, I wouldn't have called Bitcoin short from that price. And again, this is the result. All right, I just showed you a bullish one from Litecoin on Wednesday. The result was positive as well. So, this thing, it's a great tool. And if anything is going to teach you how to trade, it's the trade scanner, because it forces you to place the orders and it also helps to minimize you from the trade. All right, and it sees things that we can't see because it's measuring momentum. And the other thing is, it doesn't have a bias. Like I said, I never would have called that short. I never would have called Litecoin long. That's why I built the trade scanner, because I realize I have these biases and we miss a lot of opportunities as a result of that. So I need something that is more objective than me. That's the robot. All right. So and people don't really trust the robot, but the robot comes up with some great ideas. And then with the stocks, I mean, it generates these long lists of like 15, 20 stocks a day sometimes, bullish stocks or bearish stocks. And again, it gives you a starting point to work from so that you can, work with your idea. Now, let's go back to Bitcoin. Let's put this back on the 4-hour chart, right? Because again, I want to talk about the day trade mindset and how that applies here. Actually, before I go to the 4-hour, let's go to the daily chart. All right. And you notice I'm leaving the ATR on here because we're probably going to take a look at those numbers here in a moment. But here's the thing. So I pointed out in the student meeting that I had the other day, I asked everyone in the meeting, I said to them, what is this? How would you characterize this price action right here? And they said, oh, that would be a consolidation. And I said, yes, that's a consolidation. All right. Now, why is that important? Because if your bigger picture is clearly a consolidation, then that should shape your expectations going forward. When you see a situation like that, instead of looking for swing trades or instead of having some long-term opinion, which is going to be irrelevant or carry very little weight in such a situation, it's more effective to have a day trade mindset. Now, what is that exactly? Well, the day trade mindset is nothing more than small expectations. So, for example, in a situation like this, as far as a day trade mindset goes, you say, okay, I'm going to be interested in day trades, which means I'm looking to risk maybe 100, 150 points, maybe 200 points, no more than that. I'm looking to make maybe 300 points on a trade, possibly, right? That could happen in a day or two or something like that. You can think of it as a sort of like a mini swing trade, but that's what you're thinking. You're not thinking, oh, this thing's going to 30K, or oh, this thing's going to 20K. Like, you know, these fake gurus like to push on you. So when you go to the day trade mindset, you don't do that from a daily chart. The daily chart just gives you some general ideas, right? Or if you have a tool like the trade scanner, it tells you go short at this price, okay? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. So now you have your idea. You don't have to do analysis anymore because it's done the work for you. You have to come up with the orders. So as far as the day trade mindset goes, that is where you should be looking at a 30-minute chart. Okay, let's take a look at a 30-minute chart and let's see, you know, based on that trade that it gave us at 27,204. All right, that's the number I'll use. That was the most recent one, right? 27,204. Let's see, that's over here. 27. Now again, notice that's up here, right? 27,204. That's 218, a little bit lower, right? Right about there. Okay. Notice there's nothing about news here. I don't care what the news is. In situations like this, I want you to take note. A lot of frauds out there, they're all going to be telling you to go short now. Okay, oh, it's a short. Oh, this thing's going to 15K. They're all going to overreact. Where were these clowns 2 days ago or 3 days ago? Where were they, right? Were they all going long? That's why I wrote in my article that is the level, that 27K area, mid 27, there's a highly random area. And I pointed out why. So bad place to really formulate some kind of opinion, even though our bigger picture is generally bullish. So let's go back to the day trade mindset here for a moment and say, okay, look, I got my idea. I should be shorting this thing at 27,200. Okay, that's the idea. It pops up in the text channel. You see it and you pull up your chart. You're looking at your 30-minute chart because you're interested in a day trade. You decide this in advance. I'm interested in a day trade. That is what you have to have this all planned out. You don't just go react to, well, I kind of feel like a day trade right now. No, you say, okay, I don't like this environment. I'm going to reduce my expectations. I'm going to look for day trades. I'm not going to look for swing trades. And that's the mode you go into. It has to be very definitive. All right. You have to be very decisive about that. You can't be like, well, I'm not sure. So you go into this with the day trade mindset and you say, all right, I got my price. It told me to go short. Now, what to do next? We don't now, assuming we don't know this. Obviously, we don't know about this. So all we know about is this. This is all it looks like at the time. Okay. What to do next? We have to come up with the orders, right? So as a day trader, you need to come up with orders that are relevant to this time frame. Why have I switched to the 30-minute chart? Because my risk is going to be smaller compared to a daily chart or some other larger time frame, but my take profit is also going to be smaller. They're going to be proportional to the time frame. That's in line with the day trader mindset. We are reducing our expectations, right? So let's go to the ATR. 30-minute ATR tells me that this thing is at 167, right? Actually, at this time, that's telling me now. What was it at the time? I'm sorry. At the time, the ATR was 66. Okay, 66. That's low, but it's a 30-minute chart. That's 66 points. As I've told my students, you round that number. You can use that number if you want to, 66, which is what the ATR was at that time. But it's a good idea to round it to the nearest whole number. You want to use 70, okay, but it's better to just go straight to 100. When you're below 100, just go straight to 100. The more room, the better, right? So 100 points. Now, we are on a 30-minute chart. So we're going to have to multiply that, right? And as we know, so if we multiply that times, on a 30-minute chart, I'm going to venture out to say we multiply it times 3. On a 4-hour chart, as everyone knows, we multiply times 2. But on a smaller time frame, we need more room. So what's 100 times 3? 300 points. That's kind of a decent amount. So if I'm shorting it around here, my stop goes 300 points higher. That's 27.5, right? It's around here somewhere. Okay, that's 300 points higher because I multiplied my 30-minute ATR. First, I had to round it. Then I multiplied that number by 3. All right, so there we go. That's my risk. Never even came close to it. What about my take profit? I'm going to multiply that by 4 because I want a 1.5 to 1 reward risk. Okay. I'm not going to double it. I'm not looking for 2 to 1. I just want 1.5 to 1. That's especially important when you're working on smaller time frames and working with smaller expectations. So I multiply times 4, right? 400 points lower. So I risk 300. I'm looking to make 400. So where is that? 27,155 or whatever, 27,2. So that's going to be around 26,8, right? Something like that. Is it going to be somewhere around there? 27,2. Yeah, something like that. So let's just put that here. 26,8. It should be something like that, right? Are these numbers right? 27.5, it's 300 points higher. This needs to be 27.2. Right, around there. Okay, so it looks something like this. I mean, it went there pretty quickly, and now it's getting hammered. Okay, now people may say, "Oh, you missed all this." It doesn't matter. Okay, it's a day trade. So the point is, you risked 300 points, you made 400 points, or whatever, and the trade is done. It doesn't matter where it goes afterwards. It doesn't matter what the news is. You don't chase it. That's the day trade mindset. Does that make sense to you guys? So the whole point is using that ATR that I just showed you. The whole point is you derive all of your orders. Actually, let me put those back on here. You derive all of those orders, okay? All of these orders are derived at the time of the trade, not after the trade. At the moment you're taking the trade, you know your orders. Now, these are your initial orders. They may be adjusted, okay? You may have wanted to use 2 to 1 reward risk, but I suggest 1.5 to 1. If you had done something like that and used a larger reward risk, when this thing pushes like this and it's beyond like 2 to 1, you move your stop, right? In a situation like this, your stop, this would be, at this point, this would be a risk-free trade. Right, if you want to let it ride. Now, letting it ride is another story, but that's not exactly the day trade mindset, right? So I want to stick to the day trade mindset here. There's nothing wrong with trying to let it ride, but there's some more thinking you have to do and more adjustment you have to make for something like that. Also, it always looks great after the fact when there's a huge move, okay? But don't get caught up in this. You have to realize that a lot of times you don't see these moves. A lot of times it goes to its profit objective and turns right around and would have broken even on you many, many times. So you're better off taking your profit at 1.5 to 1 and forget these big home run type of moves. Right? This is more of a swing trade type of move. Okay, that's really what, if you're looking for swing trades, that's more appropriate on the swing trade time frame, not a 30-minute chart. Does that make sense to you guys? So let's move on here, and because I want to get into the swing trade idea. All right. And we can talk about that. By the way, there was a couple of trades. Let me see. We had BNB was also called. All right. I wanted to share a trade idea today, but I haven't, I don't know if Steve, if you put there what from I don't know if there was a more recent trade than that. But I'll tell you what, if there is, before I sign off on the stream here, share it in the channel. Okay, so because I haven't checked, but if there's a more recent trade idea, whether it's long or short, share it in the channel. Well, I'll let you know when, so that people that are watching can we can see how the trade idea works together as a group. All right, so that's pretty much my day trade mindset concept. Let me know if you guys have questions about that. Let's talk now about this Bitcoin situation and what to do with this as far as swing trades go. Now we're going to change our mindset, okay? Swing trades, I am evaluating all of this, right? This is all part of the swing trade idea. And when we have that, I'm interested in support and resistance levels. We know that 25K, 25 to 26K, we know that that's an important support level. I've written about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's relevant to this old resistance and all this other stuff, right? So look where we are now. We are in that range. So I don't want to be short now. I should have been, if I was going to short this thing, I should have been short previously. I'm interested in longs, Okay. As far as a swing trader, I want to go long, but am I going to step in front of this? No, I'm not going to step in front of this. This may break. If this breaks, then this thing can see much lower prices. But the 25 to 26K, that's a very relevant support. Now, don't get mixed up by this and be like, well, it's a bearish trend. I mean, it should break. This is a bearish structure. It's a corrective structure, but that's not a bearish trend. All right, because when we're talking about trend on smaller time frames, you can argue that this is a bearish trend, but it's really in the eyes of the bigger picture, and bigger picture meaning you're also considering this. That's just a corrective movement, and we are at the extreme low point of it. This is where shorts get sucked in, like people who have no idea what they're doing. This is where they short it, and this is actually the best time to be considering longs as a swing trader. Obviously, it's a very contrarian point of view. All right. Now, again, as you can see, I'm referring to the daily chart. I'm not looking at 30-minute charts anymore for this. It's very important that you understand the magnitude of time frames. That's something that I teach in my training. So in this area, we've reached an area of interest, and I wrote about this. And in my analysis charts that I share on TradingView, I have a square. It's like around here somewhere, right? I have this square, and this square has been here for weeks, right? I have this little square. It looks something like that. And as you can see, we are in the square. So that is a high probability reversal zone. That is what that square represents. And I'm looking for the reversal. Do we have a reversal here right now? No, there's nothing. There's just a weak candle, and it's a bearish, pretty much, it's an engulfing candle. It doesn't fit the exact definition of an engulfing candle, but it's pretty much the same idea. It's a large red candle. That's a lot of momentum. So I don't want to step in front of that, okay? As far as swing trades go, this thing may break. Again, I don't know what the news is, nor do I care what the news is. I'm only interested in the location. So we have a location of interest. I'm not thinking as a day trader anymore. I'm thinking as a swing trader. I'm watching this, and I'm saying, okay, I need to see a reversal pattern. In fact, my next webinar, I'm doing a webinar on the 14th, I'm doing a webinar, free webinar, and I'm going to be talking about the specific reversal patterns that I look for in terms of candlesticks. Now I'm going to go into a lot more detail on them and how they work. So if you guys who are on my email list, you'll get the invitation. I haven't sent it out yet, but anyway, just letting you guys know. So I'm looking for the reversal there. We don't have it yet. So over the next couple of days, if I see a pin bar, if I see an inside bar, I may be interested, but it's going to have to develop quickly, and it's going to have to be it's going to have to look like this, right? Kind of like this candle right here. It's going to have to look something like that. See that candle? I want to see something extreme like that. If I don't see that, okay, if I don't see that and I see like maybe a little green inside bar or something, then I'm going to be more cautious. And the reason is this is a lot of momentum, right? And that's concerning for longs. So I'm not going to be so quick to get into that. I'm most likely, like when it comes to sharing my signals with my members, I'm probably going to be looking for a more complex reversal, okay? And I would like to see that develop in this area here over the next few days. Does that make sense? So a complex reversal looks something like this, right? It's like a little mini double bottom. You see that? On a 4-hour chart or a 1-hour chart, that's going to be much more pronounced. That's what I'm looking for. That will give me the confidence to call a swing trade in that area right there. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me see what kind of questions I have. Hopefully you guys have some questions for me here. By the way, if you like my stream, if you like what I'm doing, do me a favor, press the like button, press the boost button. I appreciate it. I am working on more content that I'm going to be releasing on this channel, and I certainly could use some help from the algorithm. So yeah, press the boost, press the like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I appreciate that. All right. So, okay, Milad, how are you? NASDAQ is going crazy, but Bitcoin, right. Waiting for your insight today. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, yeah, make sure Bloomberg shows up the next time. Yeah, I'll let you know. We can't, okay, I told you guys that. All right, okay, refresh you guys. Right, listen to Milad. Are you trying to identify areas of liquidity? If so, how? Well, I'm not specifically, if you want to call liquidity support or resistance, I mean, I'm not trying. I know where the areas are. I'm looking at probabilities. This is the area. We're in the area. There's just no confirmation. So when I see confirmation, that gives me the prompt to put a trade idea together as far as swing trades go. Everything that I just talked about over the previous 20 minutes was day trade mentality, okay? This is now the swing trade mentality, and there's nothing here. So what I'm letting you guys know, the point of this is a place you should be considering along. You should not be going for shorts as far as swing trades go, because this is a high probability reversal zone for longs, not for shorts. If you look anywhere else, all the clowns and all the morons are going to be calling this short because they all react to what they see, which is this. I am anticipating what you cannot see. So that's basically a probability game. And this support, I've had the 25K support area, I've had that identified for months and months and months. So we're in the area. It's just a matter of waiting for the reversal and confirmation. Once I have that, I can put my orders together. Whether I use my ATR method or I use something else, I'll be able to determine my orders at that time and then call the trade, okay, and take the trade, because I do take longs on Bitcoin, right? That's why I keep this ATR on my chart here. For this, for now, I mean, I'll leave it on because we're probably going to have a trade idea to talk about before I wrap this thing up. So I'll leave the ATR on here for now. Okay, so you guys following me so far? Let me see what kind of questions I have here on YouTube. Okay, so GET, we'll take a look at that. Okay, so all right, I'm just going back. All right, hey Dom, good to see you. Arman, all right, found an interesting tool. Double click on the chart to hide, and oh, well, no, I know. Well, I know there's a thing over here, right? I can hide it, but I think I'm going to leave it on here for now because we're going to use it again. All right. Thanks for letting me know, though. Hey, Jade, good to see you. Okay. Binance CEO and Binance has been sued by the SEC. Oh, interesting this year. Thank you for sharing that. What else is new? What a surprise. Interesting, right? And we know the drama behind all that. By the way, we haven't heard from Bankman-Fraud in quite some time. And now Binance is getting sued by, what's that guy's name that runs the SEC? I can't remember his name. But that guy that runs the SEC, the head of the SEC, was connected with who? Interesting, right? I can't remember the guy's name. It'll come to me when we're not on the stream. But anyway, interesting drama. So if that's all that's going on, that's nonsense. That's, who cares, right? That's not really going to affect that. That's just people overreacting. So a couple of things I want to talk about before I get to your questions. All right, I want to show you guys this. All right, take a look at this. You want to see nonsense? Take a look at this right here. That's it, Gary Gensler. Thank you, Stian. That's the guy, Gary Gensler. Okay. If you look back when all that FTX drama was going on, you look at how he was connected to that whole thing. Interesting, right? And now they sue Binance. I wonder who's behind that. Anyway, all right. So let me show you guys this real quick. So we have the NASDAQ right here, right? Now, this is the NASDAQ daily chart. You want to talk about nonsense. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous, okay? I mean, look at this. Let's take a look at this on a weekly chart. And there's a reason why I'm pointing this out here real quick. Look at this. This is a weekly chart of the NASDAQ 100. Look at this. So it looks like we're going for 15K, right? We broke this resistance, right? And we're on our way to this resistance right here. What is this? This is a very unusual situation, and it has to do with the U.S. Treasury, okay? I'm not going to get into all the complicated details, but there's a situation, from the way I understand, there's some kind of situation with the Treasury, and they're basically putting all this money into the market, and it's not being absorbed by the Federal Reserve, which is the usual process. So it's playing out like this in the NASDAQ. I mean, have you seen some of these ridiculous stocks? Have you seen Facebook? Look at this. That's Facebook, right? Have you seen Amazon? Okay. I mean, this is just, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Right? That's what's driving this rally. So I keep telling people, have you seen NVIDIA? Let's take a look. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, what is going on here? So people that are in this thing, that have it from lower prices, great place to get out and take your money. All right, that's a weekly chart of NVIDIA. But if people that are getting sucked into this to go long now, you're a fool, okay, and you're going to get fleeced. Look at the SPX. Okay. These are fleecing levels because this is not this rate of movement is not sustainable. The SPX, by the way, is nowhere. Look what the SPX is. We're just pushing resistances minorly, right? And we only have a couple of stocks moving the NASDAQ. So my point is this: these are very high risk levels for longs. Anyone that invests here, oh, it's a good stock, I'll just buy it here because it just keeps going higher. You're a fool. You're going to get fleeced. Okay, fools about to get fleeced. That's what this level is right here, the fleecing level, because this is a high risk place for longs. You don't invest at these levels. You invest into lows, not highs. So again, going back to the day trade mentality, right? Let's go back to that NASDAQ chart. This is where the day trade mentality would be most relevant. When you have a situation like this where there are no pullbacks, I mean, this thing refuses to really pull back for weeks and weeks and weeks. It just doesn't pull back. And every time you think it's going to pull back, okay, now is the time, it pulls back a tiny bit and it goes a few hundred points higher, right? This is where the day trade mentality will benefit you the most. If you're looking on a chart like this and you're working like on a 15-minute, okay, let's open up this 15-minute chart here. So you guys can see what I'm talking about. Look at this. This is where, and I'd like to take the ATR off, but we're going to need that. So this is where, like, you have these situations. I mean, this is an entire day, right? This is an entire day over here. This is an entire day, right? Pretty much. So in those situations, those are clear-cut trends. And if you're working with, this is a 15-minute chart. If you're working with the day trade mindset, there's something to do here. Now, I would not recommend putting on day trades, like, unless you have experience with these things, because when the rug gets pulled from this, I mean, this thing's acting like an altcoin right now. When the rug gets pulled, a lot of people are going to get caught. That's all I'm telling you. So anyway, my message to you, don't get caught in this nonsense. If you're going to do anything with it, day trade. Take a small bite, get in, get out, and that goes for the same with the stocks that are driving this thing. If you're fooling around with one of those stocks, you take a bite, you get in, you get out. You do not think that this is going to continue. But this expert said so. This guy's a renowned expert. He's been in the market for 30. Never listen to anyone on TV. You have to be able to make your own judgments. These people are not here to do you any favors. They don't care if you make money or not. They're usually operating under another agenda, which you have no idea what that agenda is. Okay? So don't get caught up in this. The example that I keep bringing up is gold. Okay? Gold. Do you remember what gold was just a month ago or a month and a half ago? What was everyone saying about gold? Now, gold is trying to work its way here. Gold may be in a good buy area now, but what was everyone saying about gold? Right? Oh, gold is going to be at 3,000. All the renowned experts, gold is going to be at 5,000. Dozens of banks are going to fail by July, and the Federal the Treasury they're not going to be able to pay their debt. Gold is going to 10,000. I mean, ridiculous things, and that was when gold was up here. Okay, how many fools got fleeced in that one? That's what I mean. Don't listen to these people. You know how many times I was telling people this is not a place to buy gold. If you go back, you look at my comments in the channel, in my member channel, or you go back to some of my streams, I was telling people this is not where you buy gold. This is where you take profits. That's a multi-year high on gold. I just want to point this out quick because this is all I had to see on a weekly chart. That is all I had to see. It doesn't take long to recognize that. You don't have to be an expert analyst to realize that gold in the 2050 area is a really bad area to be buying gold, unless you're thinking of day trades. Okay, does that make sense? So now gold is in an interesting area for a potential swing trade long, but not at 2075 or 2050 or 21 or whatever. All right. So I just want to point a few of those things out. That's my rant for today. Let's go back now and let me answer your questions. Okay. And Steen, you have the trade for me, Steen? Do you have a trade for me from the trade scanner? Don't tell it to me now, but I just want to know if you have one so that I can share it before I sign off, and we can put the trade idea together and see how it plays out. I believe 2 weeks ago, when I was my most recent stream, like 2 weeks ago, we had done that with the with Litecoin, and I think that trade stopped out, I believe. So anyway, Steen, let me know. All right, let me go back and now let me start taking a look at some of your questions. So again, people, stick around. If you want a trade idea, because I will share something from the trade scanner. We'll take a look at the most recent trade, a coin, by the way. Or if you see a stock, you want to mention a stock, we can do a stock too. I don't think I've done any stocks. All right, so you let me know. All right, so let me go back to the list here and let me answer a few quick questions. Get USDT, let's take a quick look. So this is Get protocol. All right, let's go to a weekly chart on this. And all right, so first of all, interesting, right? It's an interesting situation. Let me zoom out a bit here. So in a situation like this, the general structure at this point, we can argue is range bound, right? Over the midterm to short term. Long term, it's bearish. We have lower highs, and it pushed a low of what, 53 cents, and it hasn't been lower since. But we don't have any resistance levels being taken out yet either. So we can't really argue for any kind of bullish trend. It's bearish to neutral, right? Or bearish to consolidating. So look where we are too. We're right like in this midpoint area. So bad place for new positions. Again, this is a weekly chart. So if you're interested in Get protocol, I would imagine for one, you're not going to be taking day trades on this. This is probably more of a swing trade or investment type of instrument, right? You're looking for this area here for longs, right? And you're looking to get out of this area. You're looking for that area for your take profits. It's that simple, okay? If you want to refine that long a little bit, you're looking at 82 cents. Otherwise, you're looking at the 50-cent area. That's it. So if it retests that area, just like Bitcoin right now, if it pulls back and retests, you have your opportunity. Right now, look, this is a tough area because it can go either way. This is that same situation that we had with Bitcoin yesterday. It was random. It could go one way or the other, 50% chance either way. I mean, if you believe in the long term and you want to pick up some coins, okay, great, but this is not the most opportune price area, right? You want to wait for better prices. And based on the characteristic of this general structure, it's likely that you see a lower price again. It's not like we're in a bull market here. All right. Have you seen the bond market? Before you judge these coins, always take a look at the bond market, because the bond market, you may, oh, it has nothing to do with coins. It does, because this is the price of money right here. Okay. Cheap money, the altcoins have more potential, just like the Russell 2000. Expensive money, less potential. So this is the weekly chart of the bond, the 10-year note, and it's in a range. We've seen these prices before, so we can't really expect anything from this. Don't make any judgments just because there's like one green candle. This doesn't mean anything. But the meaningful movement for the bond market when it comes to altcoins is we either need to push lows, okay, or we need to push this high. That's it. Those are the only two levels you should be concerned with. Otherwise, don't waste your time, okay? Because all this overlap in between is meaningless. Don't overcomplicate it or confuse yourself with that. It's either we push the low or we push the high. If we push the high, that is going to be more positive for the highly speculative assets like the garbage coins and the Russell 2000, okay, and stocks, tech stocks, anything that requires a lot of debt. If this thing pushes lows, that's going to be bearish for everything, okay? So that's the way to read that. All right, so that's Get. I hope that answers your question. Let me go over to TradingView here because I see some people have some questions, and I don't want to ignore you guys. All right. Okay, picture is okay, but on YouTube is okay. Okay, all right. Nasir, in price action analysis, most people use MSB, market structure break, or FVG, fair value gap, and bearish bullish order blocks. Is that effective? I'm not familiar with those things. I'll tell you what, Nasir, if everyone's using them, they're probably not effective. I'll just put it that way. Okay, what everyone uses is you have to do things that people don't do. That's what gives you a unique perspective. All right, so Milad says, if you are long after getting approval, how do you set the stop loss? Okay, so Milad, that's the ATR. All right, I've gone over that. I went over that in my previous webinar. I'm not going to spend time with that here, but we use the ATR method. I'll mention when I have my webinar on Wednesday, following Wednesday, I'll go over the ATR again in that webinar. Okay, but that's the quick and easy way to arrive at the levels. Okay, without having to do much work. In fact, Steen was working on a calculator. I don't know how that calculator is coming along, but that was really cool, Steen. I hope that thing comes out. He was working on a calculator that does all the work for you. In case you haven't heard, this BTC drop. Okay, oh, so thanks, Sperm Whale. Nice name. All right. All right, so I'm just going back here. I'm going back here on YouTube, looking at the chat. Okay. So this was, oh, okay. So Steen gave it away here. All right. All right, well, Steen, we're going to have to take a look at it. Or maybe we'll look at a stock. Okay. Ginzer. Okay. So I'm just catching up here on the chat, you guys. All right. Hey, Levant, how are you? So I went over ZN1. All right. And I touched on gold. Okay. Hey, Jack Sloan, how are you? Can we have a look at total? Sure. We can take a look at that. What I find interesting on Get is that well, okay, so those altcoins are more likely to do their own thing. Okay. So that is interesting, but I wouldn't put a lot of weight on it because it's an altcoin and it's not like heavily capitalized. I wouldn't make too much of a big deal. But what you are getting at there, no pun. What you're getting at with Get is that it's relatively strong. And yes, we can make that argument, but I wouldn't put a lot of weight into that because again, if there's a serious move and rates continue higher, Get's going nowhere. Okay, just to keep in mind. If you're thinking long term, okay, maybe it's another story. All right, let me take a look at total. This is total, the total market cap. Now look, this usually follows Bitcoin. All right. I don't really think it's that relevant these days. It's pretty much a copy of the Bitcoin chart. So this is a weekly chart on it, right? As we can see here, just like Bitcoin, it's pretty much been in a consolidation. And this is concerning if you're long coins because that's a lower high consolidation, okay? And Bitcoin's in the same situation. This resistance right here, right, is lower than this one here. See that? Those are lower highs. So in theory, this should go for the lower low if this trend is going to stay intact, if this bearish trend is going to continue to be bearish. All right. Doesn't mean that it will make the lower low, but there's a greater chance that it does if this structure stays intact. Otherwise, what you want to see for a change on something like this is you want to see support develop in an area like that, somewhere in there for the double bottom. And that can prompt for a swing trade, possible even portfolio idea for a long if it can maintain that support. But these current levels where we're right now in this situation, this is a bad place for longs. That's all I can tell you. It's a high risk place for longs. This is the daily chart. Okay, it looks just like Bitcoin. So if you're thinking, temporary swing trade like I'm looking for, okay, that's one thing. But this is a bad place to invest. That's why I've been really staying away from these things as far as investment goes, because I don't like this environment at all. I just don't see it. Okay, I don't see improvements anywhere as far as cheaper money or anything like that. And that's what you need, all right, to see a sustainable rally in these things. Okay, like the magic rallies where everyone is a genius. Okay, the price of money is important to judge whether altcoins can move. Yes. Can VCs and retail afford to throw hefty? Right, because that money has to come from somewhere, and they usually borrow it. Right, there's a price to money, so that's why the bonds and interest rates affect everything. And whatever is going on with the Treasury right now, that's what's having a major effect on this. Basically, if you trade against the Treasury, you're up against Janet Yellen. Okay, and she can print money, she can write checks, so you have to be careful with that. Until that runs out, we're going to see ridiculous NASDAQ, and we're going to see ridiculous S&P. If you want an idea to short, consider the Russell 2000, which has been relatively weak. And of course, it should be weak. Those companies, small caps, rely on debt the most. So they're going to have a hard time. Okay, so if you're going to short something, that's the place to short. All right. So thanks for mentioning that. All right, let me see what we have here. Okay. All right, so I answered those questions. All right, you guys. So let's get into this. Steen mentioned here for you guys that are still sticking around. Again, do me a favor, press the like button, press the subscribe button, join my channel. I have a lot of new things coming along. Also, check the links in the description. All right, I have a bunch of new features that are coming into my community as well, in the Discord community. All right, and there's a free area there, so I encourage you to check that out. Nasir says, anyone can draw support and resistance line in lower time frames. Do you think these matter only on higher time frames because lower time frames are countless? Well, no. So that's a good question, Nasir. The support and resistance levels, generally, we can consider them random. Anyone can draw random levels anywhere, right? Smaller time frames are less relevant because there's less volume involved on the time frame. While the larger time frame, like a daily chart or a weekly chart, has more relevance. And let me put Bitcoin back on here because there's more volume involved, right? These lines that I draw on my chart, there's no coincidence why price bounces off of them so often. I mean, look at this from back here, right? Resistance, okay, resistance. That's not a coincidence. It's a high probability. And the reason why that is because of the volume that transpired at those levels. That's why these levels, I leave these levels on my daily chart. Now, a daily level can be important if you're watching a 5-minute chart and price happens to pull into a daily level. If you're watching a 5-minute Bitcoin and price pulls into 25,250, whatever the exact level is, again, these things are not precise. But if it pulls into that area, you should be aware that shorts are probably a bad idea right into this support level, which is relevant on the daily chart. And this is while you're watching the 5-minute. You have to be able to see the market in magnitudes. All right. So I hope that answers your question. Very good question. All right. So Steen comes back here, right? Let me just go back to Steen's comment. And thank you, Steen, for sharing this. So this is right here. You see this? This is what the trade scanner called on the 4th, which was yesterday. Actually, Steen, you want to let's do this today. Instead of doing dot, right, which that's not the best choice. What's it calling for a short on the 5-minute? All right, let's take a quick look at it. But Steen, how about this? Take a look at the stock channel and pick a stock. Give us a stock. Give us a random stock. Hey, who is that? Oh, Nasir, thank you for 100 coins. Thank you so much for that. That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. I need to start a super chat on YouTube. Maybe people will appreciate my time more there. I'm joking, you guys. Okay, I know you guys appreciate my time. All right. So Steen says dot over here, and it says 533, and it says short, right? Look on 1 hour time frame or above. So for this situation, let's pull up dot USDT. Okay, this is Polkadot. It's following Bitcoin pretty much. Now it called it a short yesterday. All right, so that's the most recent call at 533. Let's just put that on the chart here. And this is why I kept the ATR on my chart the whole time. So let's just put 533 on here. 533. This is 533. All right, so it called the short there, okay? Nice move after the fact. We're not gonna do anything with that. I can't do anything with that. We're not gonna chase this thing short. So we're gonna leave that one alone. All right. If there was a short signal today, that would have been better. All right. So Steen, do me a favor. Find a stock. Go into the stock channel and pick a stock. Now, I would suggest, the stock calls bullish and bearish, right? It has bullish and bearish calls. So whenever you're dealing with stocks, you want to check out the NASDAQ or the S&P. All right. And I mean, look, this is the NASDAQ today. It's just this thing's closed. Okay. This is an ugly candle. Now, it doesn't mean that this thing is going to follow through like we might think, oh, that's bearish. It's a bearish candle. This thing, I mean, theoretically, this thing should pull back, and a reasonable pullback would be all the way over to here. So how can we use this information with the trade scanner? Well, here's how. If we're interested in longs, because it's been producing ridiculously long lists of stocks on the long side, which obviously we can see why, right? This market has been nothing but bullish. If we're looking at a long, we should be thinking day trade because our expectations need to be low for longs. Does that make sense? And if we're going to be thinking swing trade, then we should be thinking short. So if we have a short, Steen, if you want to pull up a short stock. And let's use a short stock as an idea. You know why? Because that's what I would be doing here. I'd be looking at the stocks that are relatively weak, because if this thing pulls back, those short stocks should make a more appropriate swing trade. Okay. So do you have any stocks? Okay, so let's see here. ATR stop loss finder can be used on trading for calculating. Oh, is that yours? Is that yours, Steen? I know, Steen, you put one together. Is that the one that you put together, or is that another one? Because that's really cool. See what Steen says here? Steen built something, but I don't know if it was working properly. Let me know, Steen. Let me know. So, do you have a stock for us? Is there a stock you can give us? So you know what? If you give me a short, I'm gonna put the idea together as a swing trade. If you give me a long, I'm gonna put the idea together as a day trade, and this will be for tomorrow. Okay. So, Steen, what do you got for me? You got anything for me? And forget, you could give me actually the today's scanner thing is not going to come out probably for another 30 minutes. So give me give me Fridays. Let's see how that, so I don't know if that's still going to be relevant, but maybe we could find one that still has something in it. Can you give me Friday? Yeah, today is not going to be generated yet. Today won't come out for like another 20 or 30 minutes. There's a certain time when it comes out. So we're not going to wait. I'm not going to be on that long. But why don't you give me one from Friday, just to see? You have one from Friday. Give me one from Friday. You pick a long or a short, and then we'll see if we can put something together with it. Because again, the trade scanner is for ideas. You use it to generate ideas. You don't follow it blindly. And if it's a stock, you're going to treat that in a way that's not the same as if it's a coin. You have to treat them separately. Okay. Anything, Steen? Let me know. If you got nothing, then all right, we'll have to do one next week. But the point is here, it's a very, very useful tool. All right. And using that, I kept the ATR here on my chart because using the ATR, we can arrive at orders. The order placement is the key thing, not what the scanner generates. Again, everyone wants to rely on the scanner. Okay, here we go. What do we got here? Bearish reversal, GTLB. Now, this was called on Friday, 33.73. Let's take a look. GTLB. It's obviously a NASDAQ stock. Okay. Called this thing a short bearish reversal. Do I have the right thing here? GTLB. GTLB. That's right. Wow, man. It certainly wasn't a short. Okay. So let's take a look at this. It's good that you called this one. I could see this is Friday over here. Oh, this must be a report that must have come out just now. They must have had a quarterly report or something, because look at this. That's where it called the short. One thing about stocks is you need to be aware of their reports, because it called the short on Friday. Okay. Not going to short this now. Look, it's rising as we speak. So if there's a quarterly report coming out the next day after this thing calls something, you don't take that trade. You don't take that. Okay, we're not going to short this thing now. Obviously, there's something going on here after hours. Okay, so it called the short on this, and this may have gotten you in short today at the open, because that's when you would have been looking at this thing. Let's just take a quick look today at the open. Right, what this thing? Yeah, this movement that's occurring right now is after hours. Okay, so here's the open right here. This is the open of the day right here. Yeah. This is the stock market open. So this thing would have gotten you short, okay, and offered a little bit of green, but only on the day trade time frame, right? This is a 5-minute chart. Look at this. Let me open this up real quick. Look at this. You guys see this? Look at this. So this is only worth a few, they see 33.70. What is this here low? 33.50. It was worth maybe 50 cents, okay, and that would have been on a day trade time frame. If you took that as a swing trade, you would have been stopped out most likely. All right. Now, I just finished saying we would be looking at the swing trade side for the short side. But the thing is, that was called on Friday. Okay. And not today. So this must be some kind of quarterly report. I wouldn't touch this one. All right. Bullish. SHEL. Okay. Again, that was called on Friday. Let's just take a quick look. I hope you guys are learning from this. SHEL. Let's take a look. Called it bullish. Okay. Oh, Dutch shell. All right. Let's take a look at this real quick. So this was called on Friday, which was this candle back here as a long. So today at the open, we should have been looking for a long, right? Now, here's the thing. This is bullish. I just finished saying because of where the NASDAQ is, we should be thinking day trade with this, right? So let's go back. Let's go back to the open of the day. I normally don't cover day trade stuff, but we go back to the open of the day, and this is what we get at the open, right? So this is not something we're thinking day trade, and it told us to go long. So we're not going to just jump in blindly long like that, especially when we start out with a bearish pin bar. You know, at what time was this? 9:35 bearish pin bar. Not a good idea for a day trade long. So this is what I mean. You do have to use some judgment, right? But the thing is, it called a long, and you're thinking day trade. So what you're waiting for is some kind of day trade setup. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on that idea. Eventually, a double bottom came out. But thing is, for something like this, I mean, what time that eventually showed up around noon. You'd have to sit there and check this thing every so often. It's not very practical. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. If you're going to play the day trade game, you have to have a very specific plan on the type of setup you're looking for. The scanner can at least tell you, look for long, okay? And then at least you know to work on the long side, but you're going to have a system to take that a step further for the stocks, all right? Because if you bought right there at that bearish pin bar, that would have been a problem, even though it said look for longs, and that long should have been today at the open, okay? So you're looking for a pullback, and then you're looking for a support, and then you look for the long because you have the long bias. Does that make sense, you guys? All right, so I don't have any trades for you because the scanner doesn't generate a trade for another 20 minutes for today's stocks, right? Because that thing generates the trades almost around like close to 5 o'clock Eastern time, and it doesn't have any new any trades on for the coins. All right, so I'm going to leave you guys with that. You guys have any questions about anything else? There's a question here. Why don't you prefer Fibonacci retracement tool? Actually, all right, it's another good question. I do teach that, but that's secondary. Okay, I'm more interested in historical levels because historical levels are where volume transpires. All right, there's actual people long and short at those levels. The fibs are good as a secondary, I guess you can say, confirmation tool or confidence builder tool. That's how I use that, and that's why that's how I teach that. It's not primary, okay? Because again, you can draw these lines anywhere. If I'm going to draw lines, I want lines where behavior has taken place, not proportions. This is proportions. If I draw fibs, those are proportions, okay? So there is a place for that, but I explain that in my training program, okay? So anyway, all right, you guys. So again, thank you all for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this stream. If you'd like to know more, hey, follow the links in the description. Send me a message on a Discord channel. If you have any questions there, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you. All right. So, hey, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for watching.